I want to do something a little bit different today. Just a little observation, right? Something a little bit different than normal. I want to talk about a guy a fella called Patrick Kavanagh, who was an Irish poet and a writer. And he was known particularly for the way that he looked at rural life in Ireland. He died a year after I was born, so he's gone for over half a century now. So anyway, he was somebody that we read in school. I didn't take much notice of it at the time, but as you get older, you tend to revisit some of your past, and Kavanagh was one of those writers for me. Now, one of the things that he said, which really stuck out for me, was he thought that we were taught to prepare for life rather than to live life. And I think he was talking about the educational system. He believed that there was too much importance on preparing individuals for their future, at the same time neglecting the kind of cultivation of genuine connection with your life as it is unfolding for you in the moment, right, in the present moment. And one of the things that comes out a lot in this guy's writings is the value for the richness of everyday experiences. So the beauty of nature, right? The depth of human relationships. He believed in all that kind of stuff. And I think he had a point. He believed that true living comes from fully immersing yourself in the present, embracing the joys and the sorrows of your own existence, and really trying to find meaning in just ordinary moments of your life. No matter where you are, no matter what you're trying to find in life, you should be always trying to seek out and appreciate the beauty of the surroundings, your own surroundings. I mean, he was talking about rural surroundings, but there's also a beauty and a richness in the lives and struggles of ordinary people everywhere. We were down here in the valley. It's the first time we went down there last weekend, first trip, and we met up with some locals. We went down with a couple of Dutch people, and they run a 4x4 company, just 4x4 tours around this area. And while we were down there, we met up with these local farmers, just ordinary people, getting on with their day. They were congregating around this little small restaurant, a tiny village called Soar, down in the valley there. So, like I said, they'd probably be out working during the day, and it's a beautiful place. They all spoke Catalan, but they also spoke Spanish, as is the thing around here. So we were able to understand them pretty well, and it was just lovely. It was a moment in time, right? We had our phones with us, but there was no Wi-Fi there, no connection, so there was no distractions. And it was the first time in ages that I've been away from work, not just physically but mentally as well. And however much I love my work, I love getting up every day, I love doing these kind of things, it was such a nice break from the norm, and not only to get away from the thinking about it, but just not thinking about anything really, just being in the moment. And I didn't realize it until afterwards, how nice of a day it was. I didn't think about anything all day long, anything of importance. I was just there. I was being there with everyone. Even the boys had a great time, There's also in life this thing of looking at, for me, I've been struggling with the spiritual aspects of my life. Not struggling so much now. I'm a bit more happy with myself that way, if you like. But this is something that can be, I think, easily overlooked in the pursuit of, of worldly success, I suppose. Of chasing after the things that will never really get a hold of. Consumerism. And trying to find happiness in things. You get one thing, you're happy. You've got short-term happiness. You're happy for a little while, but then, it disappears and you're on to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Take a look at the modern day phone market and that'll tell you everything about it. people are willing to pay, what, $1,000 for an upgrade, which is what? An upgrade slightly? Same thing with cars, same thing with houses, same thing with everything. So it's something that I've really grown to appreciate since I stopped drinking alcohol. It's the importance of personal experience, of taking the time for self-reflection, of living authentically rather than trying to conform to some kind of external expectations. And when I'm talking about living authentically, I'm talking about authentically to you. There's so much of this. I hear this a lot. You've got to live authentically. Well, what does that mean? Well, it means something to you. And I know it's a cliche, right? But everything is a cliche when you take it down to it. So, trying to live life to its fullest for me is about the simplicity of things. Sitting here with my dogs, getting out here, and they're just, when the dogs go out with us, they're just with you. They're in the moment. They're enjoying the moment. They don't care about anything else. That's the way we should be. It's all getting back to those basic things, seeing things for what they really are. Realizing that everything that you need is already here. You already have it. For a lot of the time it's digging these things out. I'm living here in Andorra, and it's not through some stroke of luck that I live here. It's because I made it happen, right? And I made it happen not because I'm some kind of a genius or I've got some kind of a great way about me that knows how to see these things and make them happen. I made it happen because I started out with stopping poisoning myself. And I'm telling you, when I stopped poisoning myself, when I look back at that, and that's only 10 years ago, I feel like a child. I feel like I hadn't properly started to grow up and to think about things properly because I'd been numbing my brain so much with this, right? So I stopped poisoning my body and I stopped poisoning my life, stopped poisoning my mind, and my body started to work better. My life started to slowly improve and my mind started to work better. And it was a bit by bit process. It's not something that happens overnight. I didn't stop drinking alcohol and think, oh, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move to Andorra. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I had ideas about things that I wanted to do, but nothing like the things that I have done. And it's only when your mind starts to work these things through, and you have to work them through. But here I am, bit by bit by bit. We've slowly improved our lives. And it's bit by bit by bit that I got my priorities right, got them into some kind of a sensible order, an order that was going to take me forwards, if you get what I mean. Again, like I said, it's slow progress in this. These things are not going to happen overnight. But if you stop the alcohol, if you stop the alcohol and you keep going back to it, stop it and keep going back to it like I did for years, that's not going to take you anywhere. It's not allowing your mind the space to open up and to start seeing these things. I started looking at life through the simplest lens possible over the years, because I was looking at things that were too complicated, if you get what I mean. Because I was trying to see things and I was trying to, I wasn't in the right frame of mind at the beginning. Like I said, it takes time before you can free up it's like putting oil onto a lock. You have to work it sometimes before it frees itself up. And that's the same thing that you have to do with your life. And it's starting to see things through the simplest lens possible. Getting out into nature. When I first stopped drinking alcohol, I was walking on the beaches, right, and in the hills around where we were living. And then we moved to out of the apartment, and we moved into a house, and there wasn't anything there. We actually lived by a motorway. So, but I get up every morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I just walk around the block. There was no one else around, And it was just that simple act of walking on my own, in the morning, you see the odd car, you would maybe see the odd person in the distance walking their dog or something like that. We didn't have dogs at the time, so I was on my own, and I was learning Spanish, but I was also thinking and doing a lot of thinking, walking and thinking. And through that, through getting out and walking and just trying to giving my mind the space to think, no distractions. I like walking along the same tracks all the time, because if I walk along different tracks, I'm taking notice of what's around me, and that's a meditation in and of itself, right? Because you're not distracted by your thoughts. But if I walk on the same path, then I'm not distracted by the path, and I can get into my thoughts more, right? So, like I said, I've always come back to, the simplest of answers. Even life's most complicated questions have got simple answers. And sometimes if a question is too complicated, it doesn't need an answer, or the answer doesn't matter, right? As much as you think it matters. The simplicity of life is often the thing. I don't know if you've heard of a thing called Occams Razor. It's also known as the principle of parsimony. And this is like being frugal or being economical in life. And it's a problem solving and a reasoning principle which says that given many competing explanations or hypotheses for something that's happening or has happened in your life, this is how I apply it anyway, the simplest explanation is often the most likely or the most preferable, because you can find the simple solution and you can move on. I look around me and I see the simplicity of life everywhere. The simplicity of life that was here a long time before any of us were ever here, and this simplicity of life will be around for a long time after we've all gone. So living authentically to what we know is right, the importance of personal experience, the importance of self-reflection, taking that time for self-reflection, and when you stop drinking, of allowing your mind that freedom to unclog itself, to free itself up. What better way to do that than in some kind of natural surroundings, right? If you want to think things through, if you want to find answers in your life, get outside on your own, preferably in the wild, but somewhere, just let your thoughts flow. Forget external expectations. What you need, most everything that you need is inside you, right? It's waiting there to be plucked out, to be drawn out. Sometimes you might have to get a bit more experience to draw that stuff out. Sometimes you might have to do a bit more thinking to draw that stuff out. But the only thing is, you're never going to find it by drowning it out with some horrible, pernicious poison like alcohol. You're never going to find it like that. That's the only thing that's going to do is clog your mind up, and it's not allowing you to think straight, and not allowing you to plan, not allowing you to see your capabilities, the possibilities in your life, your potential. And I think it's pernicious because the alcohol, instead of increasing your expectations as you're moving forwards, reduces your expectations about yourself and about your own life. So listen, let me know if you liked this one. I like doing this kind of stuff. I like thinking like this way. So if you want me to do more like this, let me know in the comments below. Take care of yourself.